Before we start this episode of Through the Gears, this episode is presented by My Place Hotels. My Place Hotels is a proud partner of frontstretch.com, and it's the official hotel sponsor for Front Stretch. With plush beds, in-room kitchens, and pet-friendly hotels, My Place makes the perfect pit stop when traveling. Racing fans can use promo code FRONTSTRETCH to save 10% on your stay at any of their nationwide properties. That's 10% off nationwide with code FRONTSTRETCH. This racing season, be sure to make My Place your place with My Place Hotels. Thank you again for sponsoring today's episode of Through the Gears. Howdy, everyone. I'm Wyatt Watson, and welcome back to another episode of Through the Gears. NASCAR is headed to Michigan International Speedway, and we're getting ready with our best bets for the only 2-mile D-shaped oval on the NASCAR calendar. We're looking to capitalize after a abysmal weekend at Nashville. Couldn't get any of our bets to hit there, and looking to get back to our winning ways as we were for the previous 4 weeks before last weekend. Can Tyler Reddick find another victory here after winning in 2024, or can someone else rise to the top here at Michigan? My guest for this weekend is Michael Massie, the lead content director for Front Stretch. Excited to have him on and premiere him for this season. And we had a great talk during this podcast. Be sure to tune in and have fun listening to us banner and pick the best bets here for Michigan. So let's see who can master the 2-miler at Michigan as we go through the gears. Joining me now is the man, the myth, the legend, Packers fan galore, Michael Massie. We talked about you on a Bringing the Heat a couple days ago with I forget what it was with me and Brian were saying, but it's good to have you on. How you doing tonight? Late night recording here of Through the Gears.
Yeah, I'm doing great. I haven't had the chance to listen to that Bring the Heat yet, but I'm scared about what you guys said about me. But thanks for
all
having
good
me
things. All good things. All good things. Of course, it's great. Thanks for joining. First time of the season to have Michael Massie on. Be sure to follow him at M_Massie22 on Twitter. But we have to get into what will happen at Michigan after last weekend with Nashville. Brian Blaney taking his first victory, but Carson Hocevar coming really close to getting a win there. We go to Hocevar's home track here at Michigan. The only time we really go to a 2-mile D-shaped oval. Massie, since we only have one of these tracks to go to, how, from a bettor's perspective, how difficult is it really to try to evaluate this track, especially when you don't have the truck series that hasn't come here since, what was it, like 2019 or something like that, before the pandemic era?
Yeah, that sounds something like that. I remember them racing there for sure in like 2017, but I can't remember too well off the top of my head for trucks past that. But 2-mile oval, I mean, it is different, but I think you could still take a lot from who's been fast at the 1.5-mile tracks. I feel like that translates over pretty good. So I don't know. It's still tough, but we do have enough from this season. And look, it's been a lot of the same guys fast every week this season, so that helps as well. So I think you can kind of filter through like the intermediate tracks, see how people have done, give you a little bit of help for this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with the guys that have done well here. Denny Hamlin's been very consistent. He just hasn't gotten the win here in the next gen era during the last 3 seasons here, but he's had a strong card. Just bad luck finds his way, which bad luck's really found his way in the last couple of weeks. To think about it, he was really fast at Nashville, but his cooling hose fell off, and he had to open his visor. Yeah, the water bottle, all that. He was he's been steaming, and all the other bad luck from last 3 or 4 weeks just kind of followed that team. Kyle Larson, I went heavy on him last week, and he just looked kind of slow. And last year he wrecked here as well. Was really solid here in his Chip Ganassi days. When I looked back into and studied for this week, but he hasn't really shown that race to be in position to win at this track in the past. But I look at more people like Tyler Reddick and William Byron that have shown quick speed here in the, at least from last season. Reddick, obviously the winner from the season previously, and so on. So look at the board. The books still have Kyle Larson as the overall favorite, plus 550 on FanDuel. Now Larson's going to be a favorite damn near everywhere we go. He was pretty much co-favorite with Hamlin. I think it was Bell last week at Nashville, but Larson at plus 550 at a track he hasn't won at in over 5 years. Massie, you think the books are leaning a little too hard on young money?
I do, absolutely, because it's funny you mentioned him winning those Chip Ganassi races, because do you know when the last time a Chevy won at Michigan? It was Kyle Larson in a Chip Ganassi Chevy back in 2017. So Chevys have not been good at Michigan of late. Ford, of course, had an incredible run, winning everything from 18 until the year before last year, and Tyler Reddick got the Toyota to break that streak last year. So yeah, I'm going. It's too high for Larson. I am staying away from Larson if I'm you this week.
Yeah, I'm about to say he improved to a 9-1, but that was because of bad qualifying at Nashville. And really, since the failed double attempt, Larson is his stock has fell down the toilet to be PG-13. It's actually incredible to see him turn so far down. And this is, again, a track that Chevy hasn't won since his Chip Ganassi. That blows my mind. I forget that Ford was really well here. Gen 6 era for sure, the closing era of that. But they were fast with Chris Buescher obviously winning here as well. Kevin Harvick on one of his last 2 wins, and when he went back to back here, and then Richmond to close out his final win. But yeah, no, I'll say now. There's only one Chevy I have my eye on at all, and it's someone who's had the most consistency throughout for the Chevy camp, and that's William Byron right now at a plus 950. That number is great for a guy who finished second last year and showed pressure to Tyler Reddick in the closing laps of last year's race.
He's also due. I feel like he's been close to winning so many of these races lately. Like he's very much due a win. And yeah, if I were to go with the Chevy, it'd be him. But there's another Chevy as well that I think it's like kind of a darker horse. We can get to that later if you want.
We're gonna look down the board for sure and see what's going on. I mean, like next stop as we're talking. I mean, I don't want to forget Ryan Blaney, who is coming off the win at plus 850. Like you said, Ford has been super dominant here, but I don't remember. Looking at his average finish, I mean, Ryan Blaney hasn't been too great. I think at oh no, there he is. He's ninth. He's ninth best of all time in the next gen era with a 10.7 average finish and 1 top 5. He does have the 2021 win when he held off Kurt Busch and also William Byron in that race too. A guy we've already said, hey, he's pretty good. Ryan Blaney, if he finds that mojo that he had in the Gen 6 era, could be dangerous here at Michigan.
Yeah, the problem was Blaney's good at Michigan. The problem he had early in his career was that Kevin Harvick was out there, because Kevin Harvick won just about everything at Michigan during the first 8 years of 7-8 years of Ryan Blaney's career. So, but no, he's definitely a good driver, and I'm looking there at Tyler Reddick is the defending winner of the race, and he's at plus 1,000. Or what's the
Yeah.
best odds you can get there? Yeah,
Yeah, it's plus 1,000 off Bet Rivers.
I feel like people are kind of low on him. And I know, he hasn't looked as good, but like it's Tyler Reddick. I think he can pop off a win anywhere, and he's pretty good at Michigan.
This is honestly the track I have circled for him too. I mean, he won here last year. I called him last year to win this race because of how well he ran the previous year in 2023 in that Rocket League car. Man, I wish for us diecast lovers, I wish he won that race to get the diecast for the Rocket League car. But I digress there. He's been super strong at this specific track, and we don't go anywhere else. The reason he has the 10-1 number, I admit he's been slow as of recent. But again, if you're a Tyler Reddick fan or a Tyler Reddick better, that is, you have this track circled on your calendar for him to win again because this track has been the most consistent track for him in that 45 team over the last couple of years. And I think, again, even his teammate Bubba Wallace is a factor if you really want to consider it. This is also a track where Bubba Wallace also went toe to toe with Kevin Harvick in 2022. So this 2311 team, all of them have 2 out of 3 of them, might I say, have this track circled as a track they could potentially win at with either Bubba Wallace or Tyler Reddick.
Yeah, absolutely. Bubba, he was I remember he was heartbroken after he lost that race. But yeah, and I remember Bubba won in the trucks as well at Michigan. So it's something about that 2-mile layout up in Brooklyn, Michigan that Bubba's got a fancy for.
Another Toyota I got my eye on, and right under Tyler Reddick is Christopher Bell. Bell's had a really solid season to start. He had a solid season to start, but with the All-Star race win as well, the 20 team has kind of I feel like it's found something. Nashville wasn't really their day. The Coke 600 surprisingly really wasn't their day. I think this is a track where the 20 team can pick themselves up. 12-1 off FanDuel, I think, is great value for that team. But this team has really looked strong at a number of different tracks this year already.
Yeah, and another name I'm going to throw out there that I'm going to start throwing out there more and more as the year progresses. He's won the pole. He's still got to win a race, close the deal. Chase Briscoe.
Yeah.
Joe Gibbs Racing. He's sitting there. You can get him at plus 1,600 right now. I mean, no, I'm looking
He's
wrong.
25. He's
2,500. That's
that's even crazier. Yeah.
And Chase Briscoe is going to win a race at some point this year. What better place for him to do it than Michigan?
Yeah, Martin Truex looked fast here in 2023 with that team. I think that's very fair with Chase Briscoe and the speed that team have shown the last couple weeks. Hell, I had him at the Coke 600 before he even won the pole. He was 35-1 that week for the Coke 600, and then his number shot to like a 16-1, like it was when the markets opened.
Just ignore his average finish at Michigan. Okay, if you're gonna bet on him, don't look at his average finish. Just remember he was with the team that was kind of on their way out.
38th. Good grief. Oh my.
His best finish is 20th.
You know what's funny too? And I even looked last week at Nashville again. Yeah, Storehouse. I always reiterate with people, he raced for a team that was going under last season, the last couple of seasons, really, who wasn't good at all, except for the likes of Kevin Harvick.
Yeah,
I mean, he's 27.3 average finish is no reflection really on Chase Briscoe, the driver. It's the reflection on Storehouse Racing, and he proved that when he won. He's won back-to-back poles the last 2 weeks. He won pole at Nashville and he won at the Coke 600, and he won Top Toyota. We cashed that out at the Coke 600 when it was 12-1 odds. Now it's like a 6-1 odd. It's not really as worth it when you can get a guy like Denny Hamlin or Tyler Reddick or Christopher Bell, who we've already talked about.
And I would say that Michigan and Charlotte are more similar than Nashville is to either of those tracks. So I would kind of base who's fast at the Coke 600 on and Chase Briscoe, who is pretty fast. I mean,
Yeah.
should I throw Ross Chastain in there too? Then if I'm going off that logic, but
Well, I mean, I had Chastain last week too at 12-1 when he defending winner in Nashville, or a former winner in Nashville rather, but he's at 20-1 this week. A lot of other drivers I'd like. Honestly, I like Carson Host far better at the 20-1 number off from BetMGM just because that team has been hot the last couple of weeks. I've been high on him to win a race eventually. Why not somewhere like Michigan? But I don't know. Brad Keselowski has proven over the last couple of years that this state of Michigan curse kind of lingers around this track. So instead of that, I might go with a guy that's one of the next gen era, and Chris Buescher, who's also at a 25-1 number as well. Even with the damaged car last year, was able to rebound to get a 6th place finish. If he finds himself in position to potentially win this race, that 17 team knows how to do it here at Michigan.
Yeah, that's a pretty good. I mean, he's pretty safe pick. I feel like if you're going off the Keselowski is cursed, but RFK is gonna have speed. I mean, Ryan Preece.
Ryan Preece, man.
If we're reaching way down the board, you got plus 6,000, 60-1. Was that MGM?
Yeah, off BetMGM. Yes.
Yeah, better.
No, I don't super hate it. I know Ryan Preece had a top 10 also at the Coke 600. He's been fast at the bigger tracks this year with RFK. He could potentially, if no one else wins this year, doubtful, or no one else new wins this year. I mean, he's battling for a spot in point, like by points. That 60 team is no joke this year, and at 60-1, I mean that's crazy value for him. I think the deepest I'd go personally, and shout out Ed Lane from the Fast Lane with Ed Lane podcast. Ty Gibbs at 50-1. This is a track that Ty Gibbs is actually pretty decent at, and by the numbers, he's average. His average finish in 3 races is 8th, and if anything, that 54 team needs a pick me up, and they've been better over the last couple of weeks. I wouldn't say race winning speed, but if I'm gonna go with a long shot, the longest I'd go is Ty Gibbs at 50-1.
Yeah, I don't see him popping off a win. Yeah. Like I would go maybe more for the top 5 bet with Ty.
Yeah, top 5 bet for sure.
I feel like he's got to build some momentum before he gets that. That's I don't know. I don't know if I would go too much lower than like the only guy low I would think about is, and this is just incredible odds here, is Michael McDowell. That's the Chevy I was talking about. Like those odds, like why not throw a couple bucks on him? Spire's had a lot of speed lately, and
if it weren't for the fact he's in a Chevy, though,
yeah, the Chevy part hurts. And that's why I said like, you know, a Chevy way down the order, and I'm kind of shying away from him, but you know, I wouldn't go, you know, mortgage my house to bet on him or anything, but you could throw
$2 bucks, $5.
Let's not forget Texas. He's leading that thing
out of nowhere
down the stretch.
Like Randy Orton out of nowhere. Michael McDowell just appears in the lead at the end of the Texas race. I don't think Michigan will be as crazy for sure. They tend to get a little bit more spread out in these Cup Series races, but McDowell, that Spire team, they've been the whole Spire organization. I would say, with the exception of the 7 team, those other 2 rides have been on a heater as of late, and I think one of those teams could certainly pop off. And I wouldn't say Hocevar is really a surprise, but McDowell could totally surprise us, though. Why not look at another guy like Zane Smith, who I'm about to say Zane Smith in the same ride got a top 10 in that same car last year. That's a good way of looking at it. I think another guy who's ran well here in the past, really in the Gen 6 era, but you can also if you want to go super low, Austin Dillon at a 200 to 1. That's a potential option. I'm not going to ride any money on him actually winning the race, but he might have very good looking numbers in other categories for the number 3 team who haven't been as slow as really they were last year. They could come up and surprise here.
Well, I think the way to go with Austin Dillon is he's gonna pop off a surprise win somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So excluding the road courses, you could probably just put like a buck on him each week, and eventually it'll hit, and you'll be in the money, right?
I mean, if you put $1 on him for every race, and hypothetically 1 to 200 odds, you'll make a profit because 36 or not including exhibition races, 36 races, and you'll make.
I'd say throw out the road courses. He's not going to win a road course.
Oh yeah, and of course take out the road courses as well.
Yeah,
but
so just 30 times.
Yeah, for sure. So Austin Dillon, you never know. He could be an option to take the win. But for you, Massie, from all the guys that we've mentioned this episode and on the board right now, who is the 4 guys you've got highlighted and you'd put on your card right now?
I got to go with Denny Hamlin as number 1, just because like the Toyotas have been so fast. He's been really consistent, and Denny is due a win. Okay. He just like Byron, he's been really close. So I'm basically going between Byron and Hamlin. Factor in Chevys haven't been good at Michigan. I'm giving the tiebreaker to Hamlin for him being first. Then number 2 on the list. I'm gonna reach. It's not that much of a reach now because the odds keep growing higher and higher for him. I'm picking a Chevy. We're gonna go with the man, the local himself, Carson Hocevar.
Oh yeah,
at plus 2,000. And let me see. Let's do a little more. I'll scroll back up a little bit back on the odds. Let's go with the Reddick repeat at plus 1,000. And lastly, the lowest I'll go with my bets is this is going to seem out of nowhere, but I just saw his name. I just saw that iconic number and paint scheme, Pat taking the checkered flag. Guy that won at Las Vegas earlier this year.
Ooh.
Josh Berry, 21 car. He is going at plus 3,500.
Oh,
that's
man.
Pretty good odds for if the Penske speed keeps up. Josh Berry could get himself a win there.
You're speaking my language with that. I've taken Josh Berry a couple times after I gave him. I got to give him respect after winning Las Vegas for sure. Yeah. With that 35 one, I don't know how that'll translate for the 2 mile D-shaped oval. And I kind of think when Xfinity ran here in Michigan with Barry, I don't remember him running. I took him at Charlotte for sure because he ran well. He won an Xfinity race in Charlotte, and he's won a Las Vegas a few times. He's won other races. He's great on the short tracks. Obviously, I'm going to take him on short tracks. I feel, man, I don't got the bravery to take Barry there, but I do like the savviness of taking Joshua Berry for a win potentially.
Something just feels right about it with it being like Ford's backyard and like the Ford team itself, the 21 car with Motorcraft on it and all that. And like they won, David Pearson won there all the time in the past. Dale Jarrett won there in that car. So like it just something feels right about Josh Berry winning there.
Oh yeah. Before we get into my picks, once again we want to remind you this podcast is sponsored by, or let me point the right way there, My Place Hotels. My Place is proud to be a sponsor of Front Stretch with plush beds, in-room kitchens, and pet-friendly hotels. My Place makes for the perfect pit stop when traveling. Racing fans can use promo code FRONTSTRETCH to save 10% on your stay at any of our nationwide properties. So if you're going to Michigan this weekend, if you're there, be sure to check them out there. That's 10% off nationwide with code FRONTSTRETCH. This racing season, be sure to make my place your place with My Place Hotels. Thank you again for sponsoring this episode as well. And for my 4 picks here, I gotta lead off with the man who won here last season, and that's Tyler Reddick. You mentioned just now earlier. It's so tough to not take the guy who won here last year with the pace that 45 team has put down at Michigan, and I think it'd be foolish not to have him on your card and not ride with him. The second guy, and I'm gonna have a Chevy on my card as well, but I'm gonna go William Byron. That 24 team is due for a win, and at plus 950 odds, that's amazing odds for the 24 team to have going into the race, where they really look like they could have stole it away from Reddick and those closing laps. 24 team is on fire at multiple tracks. Give me the 24 team. I'm going to also go with another Toyota and Christopher Bell at 12-1. The number just makes sense for me at 12-1. The 20 team has been pretty fast here in the past. Bad luck has kind of followed them at this track previously, but I think Christopher Bell has the talent and that Joe Gibbs Racing 20 has the speed capable of winning here at Michigan. If Denny Hamlin is a 6-1, you might as well double your odds with a guy who's just as good, in my opinion. And then lastly, I got to go with another former winner, like I said earlier, Chris Buescher at 25-1. I would go with Hocevar. Just misses the list for me. I want to have Hocevar on a lot of my lists, but with the books respecting that 77 team as of late, because his opening odds have cut in half since the Nashville runner-up. Chris Buescher at 25-1 with a win under his belt at this track is just too good to pass up here.
You want to know some extra motivation for Tyler Reddick?
Yeah, what's up?
The court.
The court deal. Yeah,
the court deal. Them getting their charters taken away. Don't you think that's going to fire up that 45 team that much more?
That's going to fire up either Reddick, Hamlin, Wallace, somebody out there. It's going to get fired up. Or I'm going to say, you might look at a Front Row Motorsports potentially having a good run as well. I don't know.
Oh, hello.
That could be coming here for our prop bets that we're going to get into. I'll lead it off here this time. We mentioned him earlier, another Joe Gibbs Racing guy that we think that could steal it potentially in Ty Gibbs. I think his top 10 is just too good to miss out on. He's pretty much at 2-1 to get his top 10 here this weekend, and that's for a guy who's with an average finish of 8th. You might as well run with the numbers if the sports books aren't going to respect it. The 54 team has been pretty slow at most tracks this year, but sometimes the numbers don't lie, and I think Ty Gibbs could certainly turn heads this week. Secondly, I'm going to run with him back-to-back weeks, but Zane Smith had a top 10 here at Michigan last year with Spire. Now with Front Row Motorsports, like we said, that old charter getting taken away from him, maybe that puts a fire under their butt and they get something done. They have better odds than last week at plus 750. I like the 38 team potentially getting a top 10. And he ran top 10 last week too, for most of the race before falling back. Third guy I'm going to run all top 10s for my props this week, but I'll give this one to Austin Dillon at 11-1 odds just to top 10. That's insanity for a guy who's ran well in his top 10, has put up top 10s in the past at Michigan, not in the same era, but if RCR can find that same pace in this car this weekend, Austin Dillon will certainly be someone to go off there. I'd put about 0.5 units on that one. And then I'll go John Hunter Nemechek's top 10 as well. That team has just shown the pace over the last couple of weeks. I like what the Motor Club's been doing to get their guys to speed. Eric Jones got a top 10 last week. John Hunter Nemechek was running top 10 for 3/4 of the Coke 600. He's gotten a top 10 at Kansas, Texas. I can go on and on about this. The 42 team has shown speed, and if they roll out with good pace, plus 650 is a great number for them to get a top 10. I'll put about a unit there. And just to recap, Gibbs, I'd put a unit and a half, and then Zane Smith, I'd also put a unit as well.
good ones for sure. Yeah, I'm gonna start it off. I've been talking about how Denny Hamlin and William Byron are due, and I feel like you can kind of hedge your bet with betting on them for the win, by going both of them top three. I feel like they've both been so consistent. If that's too nerve wracking for you, both top five. Just put some money on Hamlin, get top five, then go for Byron, get top five as well. Top three though, if you want that, the best odds are plus 180 on BetMGM for Hamlin. Byron is plus 260 on FanDuel, so get a little more bang for your buck on old Willie B there. Another guy, someone we haven't talked about, who's also a Michigan native and runs really well at this track, that I'm going for top 10. Mr. He had a top 10 this past week. Mr. Eric Jones at plus 210. He, over the last 3 next gen races at Michigan, his worst finish is 16th. Got 2 top 10s in there. His other 2 finishes. So I'm liking Eric Jones for that top 10 spot. And I'm also gonna go with right below him there. And it's crazy that the odds are that different between the two. Plus 320 compared to Jones 210. AJ Allmendinger, top 10. The dinger's just been fat. I mean, you got to think about it. This past week was kind of a throwaway in that he had to start the race on pit road. But
True.
like
we
Charlotte,
still battled back to the lead lap though.
He sure did. Charlotte, he was top 5, and
he had great pace.
If he could back that up, I mean, you might even want to consider betting top 5 on AJ, but top 10 absolutely. Is a pretty safe one for him, I would say.
Yeah. His top 10 plus 320 off FanDuel test top 5. I'm scrolling down here for him. It's 12-1 for a top 5. That's might be worth it. Another guy I'd like to give a slight shout out, only because I'm not having him on my list, but I had him last year. I think he got a top 10 here. It was Daniel Suarez. He's not too shabby at this track either. Really, it's just the fact that I think just from momentum and the speed the 99 team has not shown really is what's keeping him off my list right now. And I think it's almost crazy to say, but I think SVG in the Trackhouse camp is a little bit more of a safer bet, it seems like, because I'm starting to see that 88 team start to move up the pylon a little bit more and more over the last couple of weeks. I would not be surprised to see SVG crack the top 10 in one of these races. And I mean, shoot, if you even want to consider him, he's that's top 5 still. I almost said 6. He's 60-1 for a top 5 for those who want to know, but he's 14-1 for a top 10 this week. So I never know with how these next gen cars operate. You can see someone else crack the top 10 like that.
The odds I'm seeing for top 10, the crazy thing I just noticed, like Austin Cindric, plus 240. I mentioned Eric Jones was plus 210. Like,
that's
Austin
crazy.
Cindric's been really fast this year. And Ford's been good at Michigan. I feel like Austin Cindric for a top 10 is a pretty safe bet.
Little bonus one for you for the card. There you go.
There you go.
Our final segment, we're going to look at the Truck Series race that'll go on right now. Only winning race win odds are out there for these guys, and a guy again we've mentioned earlier that could potentially do well. And a lot of these this will be a lot of these truckers' first time going back to this track. Some of the veterans like Grant Enfinger and Matt Crafton have already cut their teeth here since the last race here was in 2020. They did race in the pandemic year, but Hocevar is racing in this race, which could also tally into his odds going for the Win Cup. But his odds to win on, I think it's Saturday is their race, is plus 420, and I'd be willing to put 2 units on to see the local Michigander win the Truck Series race.
Okay, and hey, I'll back that. I don't want to, that's probably a great pick. I just don't want to pick the same thing as you to make it boring,
Oh no, you're good. You could back old Carson up, man. It's all good. It's a free country in this podcast.
The thing is, Truck Series this year, I feel like you got to bet Heim time most weeks. But I won't say that just because it's another boring one. Lane Riggs is going to win a race soon. And he's been so fast in recent weeks that I could see Michigan, as we mentioned, Front Row Motorsports, a little fired up this week. I know it's their truck program, not their cup program, but still, Lane Riggs, I could see him getting the job done.
Thank you, Massie, for your analysis this episode. It's been fun to have you on here super late, 1 a.m. for you, man. I appreciate you coming on at such a late hour. Where can the people follow you for all your social media, and tell the people where you're going to go next and what you got for your front stretch content?
Yeah, so you can follow me at m_Massie22 on Twitter, X, or Instagram. And as for what's next, the next race I'll be covering will be the Cars Tour race at Dominion Raceway in Virginia next weekend. Was that June 15th or something like that? So I'll be there. And then, I guess, as far as content, just look for me on the Happy Hour podcast every week on the same feed, or you can watch it on the Front Stretch YouTube page. You can watch it live with us, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time each Tuesday night, and you can get in the comment section and tell us what you really think about us. And then I'll have a Fire on Fridays column come out next week as well. So stay tuned for all of that.
Yeah, Massie roast you in the comment section live on air. No, I'm just kidding. Man. It's always fun to be on the Happy Hour podcast with you, Dalton Hopkins, and Trey Lyles every Tuesday, and glad to have you there. Also, be sure to check out his content from the Cars Tour race at Langley. That was a fun race to be at and cover for you out there in southeastern Virginia. So be sure to check out everything from Michael Massie. I'm at Wyatt W Racing at Twitter. Thank you all once again for joining us here on Through the Years. But be sure to check out every other podcast here on the Front Stretch Podcast Network, including the aforementioned Bringing the Heat with Brian Nolan, with yours truly as guest. First time in a long time to be on there. Glad to be there with Brian Nolan as always. And then be sure to check out Stock Car Scoop with Adam Cheek as the guest host after all the action takes place at Michigan, and catch the pit straight, not this weekend, but in weekends following any open wheel action. Next one will be at Gateway. So thank you all again for joining us, and let's see if we can get some pure money in Michigan.
My Place Hotels is proud to be the official hotel partner of Front Stretch. With plush beds, in-room kitchens, and pet-friendly hotels, My Place makes for the perfect pit stop when traveling. Front Stretch fans can use promo code FRONTSTRETCH to save 10% on your stay at any of our nationwide properties. Sign up for our Stay Rewarded program to get even more savings. With My Place Hotels, don't just stay rewarded.
Steven Stump of FrontStretch.com here. Come back for more great racing videos, and if you like us, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.